Es que te quiero escapar.
You knew this would happen?
Everything changed.
Es William Mann de Missouri.
Llevo una eternidad esperando a un hombre de tu fuerza. ¿Qué clase de hombre se arrastra hacia su tumba en busca de esperanza?
Un hombre desesperado. Los turcos amenazan con destruir mi reino. Están a punto de llegar.
It's the untold story of the origin of this most famous literary vampire. We start the story in the 1400s with the historical figure that inspired Bram Stoker 400 years later to write the story of Drácula, which we know very well. But this is a story that hasn't been told, and so we deal with a human who is, like you said, a father and a husband and a leader of a people and a prince of a very small country, and an historical figure that there's a lot of interesting stories about him, some very dark and some very good, and some very successful moments in his life, and some very sad moments in his life as well.
Quiero el poder para salvar a mi pueblo, salvar a mi familia.
Tu salvación está en la oscuridad y en todo su poder.
We spoke a lot. I was involved with this script for about a year before we shot the movie. So there was a lot of discussion about what part of the story we wanted to really sort of make sure we told, and it was about telling a new story and having the privilege of telling the origin story of a character that most people wouldn't know that much about. So we were very clear, both of us, Gary Shaw, the director, and myself, were very clear about the story we wanted to tell, and it was a story that hadn't been told, and I think that was the exciting part, really.
Tendrás la fuerza de 100 hombres. El dominio de la noche y de todos sus seres.
¿A qué precio?
No tienes ni idea. Pero voy a mostrártelo. Bebe.
He's a human at the end of the day, so all the emotions that he feels and the experiences he has in his life are all very, we all deal with them. We deal with sacrifice and protecting our loved ones and fighting for what is right, and those things are very relatable, and I think that's what makes this character, you can understand his journey. Whether you agree with what he does in the film, in the story, is a different thing, but I think you can understand because you're dealing with a man, you're not dealing with a vampire. You're dealing with a man turning into a vampire and the reasons for that.
¿Qué te está pasando?
Yo lo elegí.
¿Pero por qué?
Porque los hombres no temen a las espadas.
Viene hacia aquí.
Temen a los monstruos.
Well, the whole process was ongoing. It wasn't, I didn't learn all the fighting before we started shooting. It was too much. So I was learning the fighting as we were going along, and I was having to train every day in the gym with my trainer, as well as rehearsing with the stunt team during my breaks during the day. It was incredibly demanding, really, it was a very complex fight choreography, and it's one man. I didn't have an army. It was just me, one man against everybody. So it was full on, but really very enjoyable to do, and to learn fights choreography and do it yourself is a very rewarding and satisfying achievement.
No eres tú.
Who knows? I mean, he's responsible for this character being as famous as it is. It's all down to Bram Stoker's story. So hopefully he's quite proud of the fact that his story is still living on 100 and something years after he died, and how rewarding the story still is to an audience. It's still a fascinating character, and to tell a part of the story that had never been told before is exciting. After 82 years since it was first portrayed on the silver screen, it's now being portrayed differently and with a different actor and a different part of that life of that character. So hopefully he'd be very proud and fascinated at the same time.
¿Creéis que estáis vivos? ¿Porque podéis luchar? ¡Estáis vivos por lo que yo he hecho para salvaros!
Jamás olvidéis quién soy.